Hey, mess makers. Before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to join the Messy mailing list. This is where I will be dropping exclusive content, including tools, sneak peeks on what's coming up, and I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions or thoughts, this is your way to get interactive with me and with Inside Out. So make sure you head over to the show notes to sign up, and I'm super excited to get messy with you guys. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, Jojo, and this is where we'll navigate the mess together. That is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Let's get messy. So, guess who's back? We have Rahcel Iboro, and we're going to be talking about the houses this week. And again, apologies for last week, but we made it happen. So, welcome back, Rahcel.
Thanks for having me back. What an honor.
Yay! I'm so thrilled that I get to have this masterclass with you, honestly, and that we get to share this because I think it's really insightful and I think it's been really interesting for people who have been listening and wanting to understand themselves deeper and understand their charts and really what astrology is. So, you guys, we're going to pause right now because you need to go pull up your birth chart. And to pull up your birth chart, you need to go to astroseek.com or find one of those online birth chart calculators. They're free, but you do need your exact to the minute time of birth, your location, and obviously your date of birth. So make sure you have your birth chart pulled up so you're not completely lost and you know exactly what we're talking about so that you can get to know yourself a little bit better. And also, if you have not listened to part 1 and part 2, you guys, this is part 3 where we're breaking down the houses. So if you don't even know what your planets are or what they stand for, or what they mean, or where they're placed, make sure. Thank you for listening, but make sure you exit out of this episode right now. Still pull up your birth chart and then start with part 1 so that you are up to date because we're just getting deeper at each layer.
And you don't want to be lost.
We don't want you to be lost. We want you to be completely in the know and not falling behind, being like, this is great information, but what the heck are you guys talking about? Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the houses.
So when you're looking at your birth chart, you're going to see it's a huge circle and it's divided into 12 parts. These 12 parts are the 12 houses and they all represent a different domain of your life. So now you're probably asking, okay, there's the planets, there's the signs, there's the houses. What is what? The planets are the what. Like, what are they? They represent, like we said, Jupiter with your spirituality or Venus with your love. That's the what. The sign is the how. How does it represent itself? Is it in Sagittarius where it's fun and flirty and adventurous? Is it Capricorn where it's serious and all about business? How is this benefiting me? And then the houses are the where. Where is this happening? Where is this energy activated? Or where is it supposed to be activated and you don't know and you're not using it to its fullest potential? So the houses really are one of the most important parts of the chart. Like, if you have a good astrologer, the second you tell them your big 3, they already know how to picture your chart in their head and they can start putting together the dots.
So when you say the where, you mean like where, like what aspect of your life, where?
Yeah,
Right?
where in your life? Like, we'll go through each of the houses and you'll see what I'm talking about. It can go so deep. On a deeper level, the houses and the planets can even show locations. It can get to a physical where actually, but we're going to focus on the areas of life before we get into that.
Okay, sounds good.
So starting with where your rising is, that's where your first house is. So if your rising is Aries, Aries will be your first house. The first house represents I am. Who am I? What am I? How am I perceived in the world? What am I giving off? It also represents your early childhood. So psychologically, there's a lot of connections here. Your early childhood represents how you view yourself in the day-to-day. If there's planets in your first house, those planets represent you. It's what people get from you right away. It's if your moon is in the first house, that means you literally wear your emotions on your sleeve. You know, the moon is very hidden, but it's in a house where everything is shown. So you're someone who actually has an easier time expressing your emotions, and people can instantly tell what you're feeling. You can't hide it. If you have Mars in the first house, Mars is the planet of energy, action. You need to be active every single day and move. And you're also someone who comes off assertive and maybe a little bit aggressive, also depending on what sign it's in. If it's a Mars in Pisces, I would say a little bit more passive aggressive, but you do have more of a drive in your personality. It also represents physical features. It ties in with the rising and the physical part. So that's the first house. It's the I am aspect.
So what if you don't have anything in your first house? Is that even possible? Because I know that
Yes.
there are houses. I'm even looking at my birth chart right now, and I have two houses. Nope, I have four houses that have no planets in them. So what does that mean?
So that doesn't mean that there's no activity going on in that area of your life because there's some people who raise the concern, oh, my seventh house, which is the house of relationships and soulmate, it's empty. Does that mean I won't have a marriage? That means I won't have no, no, no. Doesn't mean that. It just means that there's no planet being activated there, but that house is still ruled by a certain sign. So you're going to see the first house, for example, first house is Aries, the second house will be Taurus, and say you don't have anything in the second house. The energy of the sign of Taurus directs that house, empowers that house, rules that house. So, say your first house is Virgo, you would be mainly focused on how this energy represents the person's early childhood, how it represents their physicality, how it represents the way they initiate in the world, because the rising, like we said, also is initiation, and so is the first house. So, you can't automatically jump to the conclusion nothing is happening in this area of my life or I'm empty here. Empty houses just give a good astrologer a deeper map of how to find other things in your chart, find the more synchronicities. Empty houses are not to be feared. A lot of people get scared by it, and it still adds to your story and why you are a certain way. So your second house, you're going to see a duality here with a lot of the houses that tap into psychology. The second house is the house of money, but it's also the house of self-worth. And spiritually, we learn that money is an energy, and the money that we manifest in our world is connected to our self worth and value. So, the second house also shows what you possess in this world, what you can manifest. It's the house of possessions. And if your sun is in the second house, you might actually be really lucky with money in this life, and you might be in a job that maybe is around accounting or finance or business. You shine with money. You're good with it, you understand it, you have really good taste. I would trust you with money. If your Saturn is in the second house, you're going to have a lot of challenges with money. So remember, Saturn is the planet of challenges, boundaries, lessons, karma. What is it doing in the second house of money? Also, self worth. You might have a lot of insecurity issues to build your image. And because Saturn will gift you later on in life through these lessons, you will actually be very secure if you do the spiritual work necessary.
What about Chiron?
Okay, so Chiron, it's the wounded healer. That means in your past life, you were wounded with money. Maybe something was taken from you, all your possessions were taken away. We also have to see the sign that the Chiron is in to give more of the story. Maybe you scammed someone and something happened to you as a result, where you need to correct it and you need to heal from it in this life. So Chiron in the second house can manifest in many different ways because it also is connected to self-worth.
So you have to look at the house, the planet, and the sign. So let's say it's the Chiron is in the second house, which is Scorpio.
Mhm.
What would that tell a story of?
That's really intense. It's really intense because the energy of Chiron will be diffused through Scorpio, which can make the individual really hard on themselves, really sneaky, really holding on and not letting go. Like, this is mine, and I will do everything I can to make sure you can't touch it because in past life, maybe something was taken from them in a very intense and harsh way, maybe abruptly and aggressively. So in this life, they have a fear, a huge fear with money and handling money and letting go of it. I have to save every penny. I have to always know what the numbers are. I have to not take any chances with my money.
So
It's
stability is really important.
Yes, but in a way that's all about how can I control? I need
Mm,
to control this. No
interesting.
faith, no certainty, no trust. It's all about it's in my hands, and if you try to get in my way, I'll destroy you. It's very intense. The third house is it's a very interesting house. It has a lot to it. It's the house of communication, cognition, messages, short trips, siblings, neighbors, education, specifically early childhood education. It shows, like, for example, if someone has Pluto in the third house, because also the third house represents speech, a person might have a speech impediment growing up, or they always struggle with communicating because they're scared of how to say the right words. They feel like they can never communicate properly and no one understands them. There's a struggle there, a huge, huge struggle with communication. Also, it could represent an evil sibling. You know, Pluto, it's an evil planet in a way. It brings you hell, and the third house represents your siblings. So I know someone who has Pluto in the third house, and their sibling gave them hell their whole life. They always struggle with that siblings. That sibling would torment them in a very intense way.
Wow.
Yeah, it also could mean trouble in school. Not that like they'll be failing, but they will struggle with understanding concepts easily. They'll need to be given more time for exams. You know, if you're a parent and your child has Pluto in the third house or Saturn in the third house or any other planet that brings a challenge, I would advise them help your child more, give them tutoring, make them feel okay. Don't pressure them because there's a process happening here for a reason. It's actually also connected to past life. The fourth house, it's also the start of the IC. The IC represents the desires of the soul, the deep desires of the soul. And the fourth house represents so many things. Wow. The fourth house, it's one of the most important parts of the chart. It represents number one, the relationship with the father. Number two, your home growing up. What was your home like? Number three, your internal world and emotions and your intuition. Also, deep, deep, deep down inside what you really feel, the hidden parts of you. It shows us the way that you perceived your home life. Maybe Sagittarius rules your fourth house. So your home life was chaotic, it was adventurous, your parents were all over the place, but your parents also could have been really knowledgeable and curious and intellectual and spiritual, but there was an essence of no groundness in your home. And it's making you constantly seek groundness. So say Neptune is in the fourth house. This can mean so many things. Number one, it can mean that you have a very artistic father who is very dreamy, very, you know, mysterious. He has a lot of talent, but he's a little bit absent. I would ask if the father was absent. But also, it could represent that internally, the individual is very confused when it comes to their emotions and their intuition and how to connect to themselves. And they're very creative, and their home probably also looks very majestic. It paints a picture of their home, or if they're not taking care of their home and they don't know where to start, it can create a lot of confusion. I don't know how to have a nice home, how to have a proper home. I feel really all over the place. And if I see Neptune is in the fourth house, okay, we need some grounding here. We need creativity through this grounding. Make sure you have a corner for art. Make sure you have pictures hung up. Make sure you have an essence of creativity happening all over your home. Neptune is also movies, you know. You should watch movies and make it something you can connect to. So the fifth house, it's a fun house. It's the house of inner child. It's the house of creativity, talents, the gifts that you have in this world, in this
What if I
lifetime.
have nothing in my fifth house? Am I just no
What
fun?
sign rules it?
My fifth house is ruled by
Leo.
Leo.
So it would be like talents in acting, in expression, drama, asserting yourself out into the world and showing this is me, look what I'm doing. It can be like you being in the spotlight is a gift, having the ability to do that. Also, the fifth house represents how you will be as a parent. So you with a Leo ruling your fifth house, dominant, assertive, but really fun. You can also be like a child with your children, showing them I'm the fun mom, but don't mess with me. I have my rules. It's my way or the highway. It already shows me how you'll be as a parent.
That's so funny.
And it's also the house of pleasures. And if there's a sign, if there's a planet in this house that, like, say Venus, for example, Venus is in this house, I would say this person is likely to have affairs. This person also can be a liar. But we don't want to jump because we need to see where this person is in their spirituality and in the work that they're doing in this life. It can also mean, like, Venus also can mean like always being in a relationship. You get pleasure from love and wanting love, wanting to be loved. But also Venus in the fifth house, very artistic, very aesthetic, can understand structures and beauty in different forms. Also, I would need to see the sign that it's in. Like if it's in Taurus, it's one story. If it's in Scorpio, it's another. So you need to see. If your sun or the moon is in the fifth house, it's immediately known that you have so many gifts and talents in this world that you don't even know what to do with yourself and you're struggling. And I personally know so many people who have the moon or the sun in their fifth house. They're the type of people who can do anything and everything that you give them and they succeed. But then this paints a struggle for them because they're like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know what my one thing is. I don't know what is my purpose because everything is easy for them. And when something is always easy for you, there's no process and you're instantly given no fulfillment. So that's the struggle.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes. It's also the house of fame. So it can show you how you can get famous in this life. It's really cool. The sixth house, it's the house of the day to day, the house of service, work, like day to day work, not career. It's two different things. It's the house of health also. So having, and the planets in this house can mean a lot. Like if you have Pluto in your sixth house, every day is chaotic for you. Your days are full of drama and intensity. You don't know. It's that friend that something is always happening in their life and you don't know how to keep up with them. Every day is detrimental for them and they have a lot of anxiety. If someone has Mercury in their sixth house, their work consists of constantly talking to people and thoughts and messages and they're very quick and they're always moving. If someone has Chiron in the sixth house, I forgot to mention, sixth house is also the house of pets. I know actually a few people who have Chiron in their sixth house and they have a pet that brought them healing, so much healing. Without this
Oh,
pet,
wow.
they would really struggle being here today. So when someone has Chiron in the sixth house, I recommend for them to have a pet. It can bring them so much balance, groundness, and can help them in their journey. If someone has Venus in their sixth house, maybe they'll meet their soulmate through work, through their day to day, through acquaintances. The next house is the house everyone always asks about. It's their core desire to know what's going on in this area of life, the seventh house, which is the house of relationships, marriage, and soulmates. And it's also the house of enemies. Not many people know that. So the seventh house, it also is the descendant of the chart, and the descendant, because the rising is called the ascendant. It's the ascending star when you were born. The descending star is on the seventh house, and the ascendant shows the way you come off to people in the world when they first meet you. The descendant shows people how you are when they get to know you. So it shows two parts of yourself. So if someone is rising Leo and they come off really confident and bold and individualistic with their chest puffed in the air, Leo rising, then they have an Aquarius descendant, they're weird. They're really weird people. They have very intense views on life, big principles, and meeting them, you wouldn't think that because they're so bubbly and fun and like full of light, and then boom, you get to know them, they're serious and this is how they are and you can't change them and they're very stubborn. Also, the seventh house shows what kind of partner you want in your life, the energy. So if someone has an Aquarius ruling their seventh house, they want someone who's really abstract, not the typical. Like, you will see them, their partners throughout their relationships is always someone very unique. Maybe it's not someone from their community or from their culture or from their religion. Maybe it's someone who dresses a certain way or does a really interesting career. It's different. and they pride themselves on the fact that they need someone unique and different in their relationships. If you have planets in the seventh house, like if you have Mars, a lot of the time, not always, but it can mean that a person might go through a divorce. But if you have Mars in your seventh house, don't worry, don't jump. It's one meaning, it's one interpretation. We always look at the whole chart. It can also mean that you are a very powerful couple. It could also mean that you want someone who's assertive and dominant and takes charge. It can mean so many things. We don't want to jump to conclusions here. I'm just giving examples. If someone has their south node or their north node in the chart in the seventh house, if it's south node, it means all of their relationships are karmic and from past life. And that's why every person that they meet and end up having a relationship with, it feels like an intense connection. It feels like you've known them before. It feels karmic. Something is like, we have something here that's beyond, way beyond. If it's the North Node, which is your correction in this world, your soulmate and your marriage will be your correction, which means it will, in the best way possible, put you through the ringer. But in the best way possible. They will help you, which is what your soulmate is here to do. We learned that your soulmate is here to help you constantly push you to your next level. And if your North Node is sitting in your seventh house, thank God, it's good. It's going to really, this person will really help you elevate, but you have to remind yourself constantly, you're my correction, you're my correction, you're my correction, and take a deep breath and breathe. It'll also show you in a way that every relationship you had prior has brought you a sense of elevation, and they've taught you something, big lessons. So the eighth house, it's a very intense house. This is one of the houses that we really pay attention to because this is the house of transformation. And what do we say about transformation here? You have to go through hell and back. So it's a very deep house. It shows your dark world that you're not even aware of that's there. It's the house of sex. It's the house of trauma. It's the house of other people's money. It's the house of contracts. So many times I see a placement in someone's chart in the eighth house and I ask them, did you inherit money? And they're like, yeah, someone in my family passed away and they wrote me in their will and I got all their money. I've seen this so many times. If someone has certain placements in this house, I won't say which ones because I don't want people to overanalyze and get scared because there's always a bright side, but it can mean like sexual traumas. We can see sexual traumas in the eighth house. It's also the house of taboo. So studying anything taboo, being involved with anything like people who are really into tarot and like mysticality and stuff like that, they have placements in the eighth house because it's also being able to connect to such a deep part of your intuition that you can only understand it if you understand the darkness of life and how there's light within that darkness. But these people are naturally drawn to darkness and they need to remind themselves why. What are they here to uncover? People who have the moon in the eighth house, oh my God, you have very intense emotions that you don't even understand why you have them, why you feel this way. You know, someone can have a moon in Gemini and they're like, oh, like moon in Gemini, whatever, everything's fine. What are emotions? But then it's in the eighth house. You're very deep. You don't want to reveal how deep your emotions are, and it's painting a bigger story for us. Also represents, you know, relationship with your mom. Your moon is in the eighth house. Your mom is very intense with you. She's on your neck. She doesn't let you breathe. She's very obsessed with you. So the moon, where it is in the, which we'll go over the planets where they are in the houses, represents how your mom is, and more so the relationship there. I'd also say like moon in the eighth house or any other type of spiritual planets represent intense dreams. These people get crazy, crazy messages from these dreams. They're highly intuitive. They know you better than you know yourself just by looking at you. They can seek into your soul. The ninth house is, it's a cool house. It's the house of spirituality, the house of travel, long distance, elevation, the house of teachers, or if you are meant to be a teacher, a lot of the time it shows in this chart. It's the house of higher level education. It's also the house of in-laws. So if you have a challenging planet in this house, you might have trouble with your in-laws. And it's funny, my dad has those placements and he He has fun with his in-laws. It's a story for them. If you have Jupiter in the ninth house, wow, it's such an amazing placement. You are so drawn to spirituality. You feel like you access new levels of yourself through spirituality, through travel. Every time you travel, you feel like you get into another level. You love other cultures. You love exploring new types of areas. If Uranus is in the ninth house, I'd say be careful when you travel. It can be kind of tricky and unexpected stuff can happen. It can be really also spontaneous. Also, you can be a very spiritual person, but in a very weird way. Like you have a very weird abstract view on life and principles. You'll be studying things that no one really wants to get into. It makes a weird aspect, but this is where you feel the most connected. And then we get into the 10th house, which is also the MC, which is also the next big important part of the chart. The MC, because we learned the IC is the desire of your soul. The MC is how you manifest the desire of your soul. It also, because it starts the 10th house. The 10th house is your career, but it's also the way you seek to be seen in the world, what your public image is, how people will know you, what your name is, your legacy, your empire. If you have Aries ruling your 10th house, you can never work under anyone. You need to be your own boss. This person cannot do well in simple 9 to 5 environments. They need a job that is under their name. They need to be their own business. If you have Mars in your 10th house, the 10th house also represents the mom because the fourth house represents the dad. The 10th is the mom. It can mean that your mom is also pretty aggressive with you with the Mars there, but it also means that you are assertive in your career. You know what you need to do. You're putting yourself out there. You're striving. You're working. If Saturn is in the 10th house, it could mean that you will go through a lot of challenges to get to where you want to be in your career. You will constantly be hit with walls and maybe doors closing in your face, and it will be really tough, but it will be rewarding because you'll get to where you want to be. You'll just need to, again, learn how to work with your Saturn. If your North Node is in your 10th house, it means that your correction in this life will be attained through your career. You need to put all your energy into your career. The 11th house, it's the house of community, the house of the collective, friendships, and philosophy. And it's also the house where it shows you how you will share your gifts with the world. Because the fifth house is the gifts and talents you possess, and the 11th house is how you will share them. If your 11th house is ruled by Taurus, you might actually be really possessive over your friendships, and there might be a lot of jealousy there. If you have your moon in the 11th house, you have a very unique and abstract way of seeing the world and the way you process your emotions. Your moon in the 11th house can also mean that you and your mom are really friendly. You guys are on a friendship basis. It could also mean that you feel a constant need and desire to do something big in the world. Like I need to make a change, I need to make an impact, I need to do something that changes everything, and it's a constant pressure. The 12th house, it's one of my favorite houses. It's the house of the subconscious, past life, dreams, intuition, escapism. It's also the house of mental asylums and prisons. It's a crazy house.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
If someone has a lot of planets in the 12th house, most likely they were in a mental asylum in a past life. It's also the house where everything is a question mark. So if someone has their sun in the 12th house, they will struggle with knowing what their identity is until they meet with an astrologer who can help them understand themselves. It's really hard. It's hidden. Your identity is hidden. You don't know who you are.
So you mentioned that it has to do with past lives. So I know your North Node also has to do with your past life. So if you have
Your
your
south node.
no,
Your south node
oh,
is your past life. There's multiple indications through the birth chart that connect to past life and other areas of your life. Past life is the 12th house, but we also look at the sun, we look at Pluto, Saturn, Chiron,
so
the
what if
north
your
node, the
North
south
Node
node.
is in your 12th house?
So it's also the house of spirituality. It's the house of mysticality, like deep, deep mysticism. If your North Node is in the 12th house, you have to insert all your energy into becoming the corrected version of yourself through spirituality, through studying your dreams, going deeper with your intuition, understanding your subconscious, understanding psychology. Um, it can make a big question mark for the person and what they're supposed to do. And that's the point. They're supposed to investigate and dive in. If someone has their moon in the 12th house, they don't have any process of emotions. They don't understand anything that goes on in their internal world. Their relationship with their mom is, they feel imprisoned by their mom. And they feel like they don't
Wow.
even know their mom. If your Mercury is there, you don't know how to speak to people. Your words, you understand them, but people don't understand you. If your Venus is there, you have trouble with love and relationships. You don't know how to love and how to express your love. So that house, it's a big question mark for people. And it's one of my favorite houses because it can show the potential. It shows their power. So I want to quickly go over what using the planets, what you can uncover about your chart with them. So whatever house your sun is in, the sun sign, that's where you will shine the most in life. That's what brings light to your world. That's what will consume you. So if your sun is in the 7th house, your world is about relationships. If your sun is in the 10th house, your world is all about career. If your sun is in the 4th house, homes. You need to focus on your home, maybe other people's homes. I know someone who has sun in the 4th house and she does feng shui for people's homes. And it's her life, you know? Where your moon is, that represents the way that you express your emotions and what also brings you the most comfort. If your moon is in the 3rd house, you have no problem expressing your emotions. If your moon is in the 6th house, you contain yourself a lot and you hide yourself through your work because that's your day to day in your work life. And also, moon in the 6th house, big potential for being a healer. If your moon is in the 7th house, you are feel insecure unless you're in a relationship. Relationships build your security. You know, that's how we also see where a person is insecure and where they're inconsistent. Mercury in the chart, it shows where the person is a trickster, where they aren't authentic, where they change their mind constantly and might be lying. Venus in your chart, it can show where you can meet your soulmate, where you can meet a lot of your relationships. It can show what kind of partner you're looking for. If your Venus is in the 10th house, you want a partner who's a business oriented person. If it's Venus in the 3rd house, you want someone who's communicative and fast and intellectual. If your Venus is in the 11th house, you want someone who's out there into the community and has connections and maybe is even like famous and has like a VIP. So where Mars is in your chart, it shows us where you need to direct a lot of your energy. If Mars is in the 7th house, you need to direct a lot of your energy into your relationships and try not to be too aggressive there. If your Mars is in the 12th house, energy and spirituality. If your Mars is in the 2nd house, energy with money. Next is Jupiter. Where Jupiter is in your chart, it shows us where you will expand and grow, but also where there's chaos and drama. So if your Jupiter is in the 4th house, drama in your home, but also going back there and healing your relationships with your family and maybe even your father can show us where you're going to have a lot of abundance and growth. Saturn shows us in your chart where you will have a lot of boundaries, but also it shows in your past life, this was the area of your life that had a lot of chaos. That's why there's so many boundaries in this life. So if it's in the 2nd house, past life, you did not deal with money well. So in this life, you're going to learn, you're going to have boundaries there. If it's in the 9th house, you had chaos with spirituality, you had chaos with travel, you had chaos with your in-laws, and in this life you're going to learn a lot of lessons through these domains. Where Neptune is in your chart, it shows where there's blurry boundaries. So if it's 7th house relationships, if it's 10th house career, you don't know what career you want to do probably, or you will do a career that's very very different from what people are used to and makes people question you. It also shows where you can expand your creativity. Wherever you have Uranus in your chart, this is where things get interesting because Uranus is a very innovative planet. It's all about, like we said, breaking down the structures and creating something new, being revolutionary. And it's also about who you are as an individual. So wherever Uranus is in your chart, this might be where systems break for you, where you can create new ones. So say you have Uranus in your 6th house, and the 6th house is a day-to-day work, you would most likely not be able to work in the 9 to 5 system. That system will not go for you. You probably need a job or a career that applies to your own schedule. It's breaking that system. If Uranus is in the first house, you are a very, very, very interesting person. People probably think you're weird, but a good weird, like very out there, you know. So wherever Uranus is in your chart, it shows where you not typical. If it's in the seventh house, you're not typical with relationships. If you're in the second house with money and finances, it creates a spicy element to your character. The next planet is Pluto. So wherever you have Pluto in your chart, it shows where you will go through challenges, but it will also show where you can gain power in your life. And it's a very strong concept. That's what I look for when I look for Pluto in someone's chart. Where will this person gain power? Is it through speech in the third house? Is it through spirituality in the ninth house? Is it through career in the 10th house? Is it through delving deep into their own inner worlds and confronting all their demons, like in the 8th house, where they will go through all their power? So it's a very beautiful planet to look for in the chart, and you will see in that domain of life, that's where you actually have a lot of challenges. Like for me, I have it in the 3rd house, and it's so hard for me to communicate and to say things properly and to express myself. And it brings me a lot of joy and happiness to know that this is where I will gain power and that there's a process happening. Chiron, which is the wounded healer, it will show in which area of life you will need healing. If it's in the 7th house, your relationships and your marriage and your soulmate will bring you healing. If it's in the 12th house, you need to connect to spirituality and meditation and bring your own type of healing to yourself, a healing through your subconscious. If it's in the 4th house, healing your home. You need to heal your home, your inner child. You're going back to your childhood and everything that happened and going through an intense healing process there with your emotions and your intuition. So that's what Chiron represents through the houses. And then next is the north and south nodes. Wherever the south node is in your chart, whichever house it's in, that shows what your past life was consumed of. So if your south node is in the 7th house, your past life was all about relationships and marriage. If your south node is in the 10th house, you only cared about your career and your image in your past life. That's the only thing that drove you. And the duality that comes from it is that the north and south nodes are always in opposition of each other. So the opposing house, like we said, the 7th house, all about relationship and the other. So then your north node will be in the 1st house, which is all about you, yourself. Your north node is what you need to correct in this life and what area of life. North node will be in the 1st house. It's all about yourself, not about a relationship. Finding wholeness within you. So like we said with career, if your south node is in the house of career, that means your north node will be in the house of home, family, connection, letting go of the image. That's where you'll become successful in life, not through your public name. You know, if your south node is in the 3rd house, that means your past life was consumed with just getting quick information, everything being within reach, just constantly talking, not using your words correctly, not using your words to teach, but using them to gain power from people, you know, like networking, but for your own personal gain. So if your correction, your north node is in the 9th house, you have to put your energy in this life in expanding yourself to actually become the teacher, to spread your words properly, to lift others up, not to gossip, to constantly grow, to travel, to have higher levels of education. So there's a duality that happens with the north and south node and where it falls in your chart. So this is a good indication of learning a little bit more about yourself and understanding what the planets truly mean for you. Of course, we learned it's not just the planet, it's also the sign it's in, but also the house it's in. And then astrology gets even deeper with that. Yes, there's even more levels. There's just non-stop levels because there's a thing called aspects that explain the relationship that the planets and signs are all having within the other. So if you ever look at your birth chart, if you're looking at it right now and you see all these lines in the middle going up and down all around, some are red, some are blue, some are green, those are aspects. And that's what your astrologer reads even more in depth to understand your challenges, your gifts, the way your head is going like a ping pong inside, ping pong back and forth, this and that, the struggles. It paints an even deeper picture, and they get that through Those aspects are formed through the houses, through the planets, and through the signs. So that's to put it all in a nutshell.
That sounds crazy. I don't even think we can even touch that. I think
No.
that's where your personal chart reading comes into play. And yeah, that's just like a one on one kind of situation.
Yeah, it gets really deep.
It sounds like it. And what it sounds like is that I need to book a chart reading ASAP pronto. But before we get into how people can potentially get a chart reading with you, let's get messy. Let's apply it and the houses and astrology and everything that we've talked about these last 3 episodes to the mess. So, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Mentally, what would you say is the thing that most unlocks mentally for people when they start looking at their chart in a deeper way like this?
Knowing where the planets lie in what houses, because say you are a moon in Gemini, which, very quick feelings on and off, changing my mind, and more connecting to logic and very carefree. Moon in Gemini, they're not so intense with their emotions. They're moving on, they're more connected to logic, but say your moon in Gemini is in the eighth house, the intense house. We understand now how this can play on your mental psyche and what you need to do to learn more about yourself. And it can bring you a sense of relief knowing, okay, like it's okay that I feel these things. It's for a reason. There's a gift behind here. There's an intuition here. There's more to my inner world that I didn't know about, because you probably only knew that your moon is in Gemini and like you hear all these things, but you're not connecting to it. But I'm not carefree, but things don't just pass through me easily. Interpersonal connections and relationships have a lot more meaning to me, and I need to learn how to adapt to a room, not for the need of being liked, but to understand the vibes and if I'm safe here. Why is this person having these thoughts? Because their moon is in the eighth house, and they're always looking out, and they're always decepting everything.
It's so fascinating that literally by looking into this stuff, you can be like, oh my gosh. I actually, just a little tangent, was talking to a friend and he wasn't really in the know about astrology. And I was like, tell me your birthday, tell me your time of birth. Like, I'm going to pull this up on my phone and I'm going to hand you my phone and you're going to read everything about you and tell me it's not accurate. And he literally sat there at the table for like 30 minutes reading all about himself. And he was like, I'm terrified. Like, this couldn't be more real. He's like, I feel like someone's been watching me my whole life. And that to me is just, you just uncover so many truths and so many question marks, and you're just proving it. I love it.
I had so many questions about myself and I was really unsure. And then once I started to learn about myself through astrology, I was so shocked, but at the same time, so comforted that now I understand how I am the way I am. And it brings you a huge sense of clarity, a huge sense of connection, and also connecting to other people. Once you know someone's moon sign, like you're solid.
How about emotionally?
Emotionally, wow, there's so many aspects to the chart that can help you with your emotional world. That's a thinker. Emotionally, I would look at the IC, which is the point of the fourth house. It's such a deep concept because there's a lot of secrets in astrology that have to do with the IC, and it really just tells us what your soul feels without you even knowing. And the secret, I'll reveal one of the secrets. It's the energy that your soul felt when you were being created by your parents. And whether the child or the individual knows this or not, throughout their whole life, they have a certain feeling about themselves and they don't understand where it comes from. And this helps us put that missing piece together and just bring groundness. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't want to say specifics because I don't want people to jump to certain things about their chart, but let's say there's a certain placement in the IC that represents that the child was not wanted, that the parents created this child, maybe it was an accident, maybe whatever, but they never told that to the child. The child never knew that growing up. It was never expressed to them. But in that energetic field of whenever that child was created, their soul felt that. So throughout their whole life, this person might feel emotionally that they don't belong. emotionally that no one wants them, emotionally that they're not enough. And when we see that, we're able to provide healing. And that just blows me away every time.
And that's literally just from seeing where the placement is.
Seeing the sign that rules the fourth house and seeing if there's any planets that are close to, because it's like a skeleton of the chart. It's a line, and if there's any planets close to that line, like, yeah, it's insane.
So what you're telling me is that you know more about me than I know about me.
Yes.
That's crazy. That's insane. Okay, how about spiritually?
Spiritually, wow, so many ways. I think that, like I mentioned last time, knowing where your Jupiter is, so seeing in which area of life in your chart with the houses, where Jupiter falls, where your moon sign falls, because the moon sign is also your intuition, the energy of your ninth house, the energy of the eighth house, of the 12th house, whatever is there, what planets are going on there, those can help you tap in to number one, if you have any spiritual gifts, number two, how to work on your intuition, how to expand it, what kind of spirituality is meant for you, how you can even learn spiritually. Some people, they can learn spirituality through their relationships. Some people learn by actually sitting down and studying wisdom. Some people learn through religion. Some people learn through no forms of religion and just life and challenges. So it shows which areas, it shows the energy of what you need. Maybe it's travel, maybe it's meditation. Some people you can see in their chart, this person cannot meditate for their life because it's not meant for them. Or they're struggling with it so much because there's such a potential to exceed in this realm. It will also show you, like I said, what kind of spirituality do they need.
So if I have Jupiter in my ninth house in Sagittarius, does that mean that I need to travel to find spirituality?
In one way, another way is through you need to constantly learn, and not just typical learning, higher levels of learning. You need to also study the wisdom. You need to take classes. An aspect of school always needs to be in your life, but not the typical type of school. Different types. There's learning different gifts, learning different concepts, trying new forms. Travel is for sure one of them. Maybe even at one point going back to school to learn something in a college, or to go through, like, there's nutritional school, there's school, there's even schools right now with meditations, different ways that you can get like a degree in something. But going constantly indulging yourself in a new wisdom and knowledge that isn't confined, because people hear school and they think like high school and college. No, there's so much more to learn in this world, and reminding yourself that this world is your playground. So yeah, that's what I would look at for spirituality, those specific houses and Jupiter placement and the moon.
Guys, make sure you're following along. All right. Well, Rahcel, thank you so much for joining me 3 times in a row on Inside Out and diving super deep into decodifying astrology and understanding what all of this means. And I know you have a very busy schedule, and I'm sure so many people are going to want to get a reading with you. So, how can people do that?
So right now, my booking system is a little bit on pause. So if anyone does want a reading, they can DM me on Instagram, and I will add them to a wait list, and I will reach out to them whenever my bookings open, and they'll get first priority. And I can also give them a code where they can get a 20% off of the birth chart.
Incredible. So make sure you guys say that you found Rahcel and Imuna Astrology from Inside Out, and you will be able to get 20% off of your reading and get on her wait list. All right, you guys. So that concludes going beyond the zodiac, getting messy, and our wonderful time with Rahcel Iboro. Again, from Imuna Astrology. Find all of this information in the show notes. Find her on Instagram at Imuna Astrology. And you guys know where to find me at _insideout.podcast. Make sure you are looking at your birth charts when you are listening to this. And also, when you send this to a friend, make sure that they also know what their birth chart looks like and how to access it, because this is a deep one. This is a very deep dive. So thank you so much for this masterclass, and I'm sure we'll have you back at some point.
Also, if anyone also has any questions, they can feel free to contact me on Instagram. I'd be happy to answer.
That's so
If
nice.
there's something that we touched upon in the podcast that they're a little curious about or want more information, I'd be so happy to share.
Oh, we love that. Okay, well, you heard it straight from Rahcel, and all right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.